almost everything you've done since you've been CEO, the last 3.5 years, has worked perfectly. You know, the stock is up, the market value is up, everybody likes you. The only thing that I could find that anybody criticized you for was you gave a statement about women's pay at one point, and you correctly, I think, changed your position the next day. But can you explain what happened?
Absolutely. I was asked about pay equity. In fact, I just gave such an absolute nonsensical answer, which Maria Clave, who was interviewing me, was kind enough to correct me while I was on stage itself, because I was answering a question literally using some my own personal experience, without understanding the broader context, the depth of that question, which is, what is a person like me, who is a CEO of a company, doing to make sure that, one, women can fully participate in our companies and in our economies. There is equal pay for equal work, and more importantly, there is equal opportunity for equal work. That was the real question. It was not about like, okay, what worked for you and what career advice do you have for me? It was a great learning moment for me. It's something that I've obviously taken back. In fact, when I talk to women who are very close to me, very senior, very successful women that are key to Microsoft, and heard even their own personal experiences, that's when it struck me how, the job of a CEO in particular is to make sure that everyone, whether it's gender diversity or ethnic diversity, can first come into the company, do their best work, so that we can then serve our customers. So that's a realization, which I thought I had, quite frankly. But I'm glad I messed up so publicly, because I think I internalized the lessons from it.
Did you hear from your wife about that? Or?
Absolutely. At that time, my mom was alive. For my mom and my wife had to give up her career because of our son. But even in my mom's case, she struggled. She, in fact, now I realize it a lot more than I even did, obviously growing up, was the trade-off she had to make, where the system that she was working in did not support her re-entry into the workforce after she had both myself and my sister.
So you have about 125,000 employees, something like that. So what percentage are male, what percentage are female, and how many senior women do you have? Technology is not a place where a lot of women have risen to the top yet, relatively speaking.
In fact, one of the things that we have made some good progress on is on the women's representation, which we have a long way to go. I mean, you got to remember that in tech, we have a particularly tougher issue because of our technology disparity in terms of gender diversity. But let's start with the progress, which is, in the last year, we've gone from around, we improved to 27.7% of women coming into the organization, which is around 2 points more than historical. Right. And in the technology side, where we've improved by 4 points. So that's, I would say, movement in the right direction, but not enough, obviously. One of the other things our board also did was to change the compensation system for me as well as my direct reports, to say, look, numeric progress, besides all the work that we may do, programs we may have, and the talk, let's even tie compensation of the senior-most people, including the CEO, to real numerical progress. And so we're doing everything, but quite frankly, it's going to take continuous vigilance, continuous push, and it's a top-of-mind issue for all of us.